You ever had one of those mornings where you wake up already frustrated? Before you even step out the door, something or someone has already gotten under your skin. You spill your coffee, you hit traffic, somebody cuts you off, and suddenly you're not just late for work, you're gone. Your whole day is hijacked by emotion. See, emotions are powerful. They can build you or they can break you. They can guide your decisions or they can control your destiny. But the truth is, if you don't master your emotions will master you. All right, listen. Awareness is where it all begins. You see, you can't control what you don't understand. Too many people go through life reacting instead of responding. They move through their days like sleepwalkers, unaware of what triggers them, unaware of what drives them, unaware of the quiet storm building inside their own chest. One word, one look, one inconvenience, and suddenly they're gone. They're not thinking, they're just reacting. And that reaction, it costs them relationships, opportunities, peace. But awareness gives you space. It's the moment between what happens to you and what you decide to do about it. That space, that's where your power lies. That's where choice is born. Because in that space, you can take a breath, take a beat, and decide how to move. I remember meeting a young man once full of fire, full of potential, but his temperament ruled him. He said, "I don't mean to blow up, but people keep pushing me." I told him, "They don't control your reactions, you do." It took him a while to see it, but once he did, everything changed. He learned that awareness doesn't stop emotion from showing up. It just teaches you how to welcome it without letting it move in. A study out of Harvard found that when people pause for just 6 seconds before reacting, they make better choices, less regret, fewer arguments, more control. 6 seconds. That's it. Think about that. You could save your peace, your job, even your marriage in 6 seconds. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. That's strength in stillness. The next time you feel that anger rise, when your pulse starts racing and your thoughts start spinning, stop, breathe, ask yourself, is this worth my peace? Because 9 times out of 10, it's not. Most of what we fight over, most of what we stress about, doesn't deserve the energy we give it. But awareness lets you see that. It lets you see the difference between what matters and what's just noise. We live in a world that teaches us to move fast, talk fast, react fast. But mastery requires stillness. It requires reflection. The greatest power isn't in how loud you can shout. It's in how quiet you can stay when everything around you is trying to shake you. Awareness lets you step back from the chaos and say, "No, I choose peace." When you start practicing awareness, you'll notice something. Life gets clearer. You start seeing your patterns, your triggers, your habits. You start realizing that the person in front of you isn't your enemy, your reaction is. And once you can see that, you can change it. Protect your peace, protect your energy. Because when you protect your peace, you protect your power. And once you learn to live with that kind of awareness, life stops controlling you. You start controlling it. You ever notice how fast emotions can turn a calm day into a storm? 1 minute, everything's fine. You're laughing, you're focused, you're steady. And then something happens. A word, a look, a small mistake, and suddenly you're caught up in a wave of anger, frustration, or pain. Emotions are like weather. They roll in, they roll out, they change with the wind. But too many people make permanent choices in the middle of temporary storms. They act on feelings that won't even last an hour, but the consequences of those actions can last a lifetime. Think about it. How many people have thrown away opportunities because they couldn't pause for just one moment? How many families have fallen apart? How many friendships have burned down? How many dreams have died? All because someone let emotion make the call instead of reason. It happens every day. Someone gets angry, they quit a job they prayed for. Someone gets hurt, they say something that cuts too deep to heal. It's easy to react when emotions are loud, but wisdom, that's quiet. Wisdom waits for the noise to settle before it speaks. There was a young man I once knew, sharp, talented, ambitious. He had everything it took to climb higher, but his emotions, they ran the show. One day, his boss called him out in front of the team. Maybe it was unfair, maybe it wasn't, but that fire lit up in him. Instead of breathing through it, instead of thinking it over, he slammed his hands on the table, walked out, and never came back. That door closed with more than just a sound. It closed on his chance, his growth, his future. Months later, he found out that same boss had been planning to promote him, but the decision had already been made by his emotions. See, that's what emotions do when they run wild. They convince you that the storm is forever. They whisper that you have to act now, defend yourself now, prove your point now. But storms always pass, always. If you can hold your ground just long enough, that wave of anger or hurt will fade, and what's left is clarity. That's when your true strength shows up, not in reacting, but in choosing. Your emotions are visitors. They come to tell you something, to teach you something, but they're not meant to stay. You don't build a home for a storm. You don't unpack its bags and offer it coffee. You let it pass, you listen, you learn, and then you move forward. Because every time you choose patience over panic, you're building wisdom. Every time you hold back from saying something just to hurt someone, you're building power. So, when emotion knocks on your door, don't hand it the keys. Sit with it. Understand it. But remember, it's just passing through. Because if you let temporary feelings make permanent decisions, you might win the moment, but you'll lose the future. And that's too high a price to pay for something that won't even last the night. Strength isn't always what people think it is. It's not just about who can lift the most weight, or who's got the biggest bank account, or who talks the loudest in the room. No, real strength, true strength is emotional discipline. It's what keeps you steady when life tries to shake you. It's what allows you to move with grace when everything around you is falling apart. It's the quiet power that says, I don't have to react to everything that tries to pull me off my path. It takes real strength to stay calm when chaos is knocking at your door. When people are pushing your buttons, when the world feels unfair, when you've been misunderstood, lied to, or disrespected, it takes courage not to explode. It takes control not to let their chaos become yours. Most people think reacting is power. They think raising your voice, getting the last word, showing your anger, that's strength, but it's not. That's surrender. That's giving your peace away to whatever or whoever can make you lose it. Emotional discipline is standing in the storm and saying, I choose peace. It's walking away from a fight that doesn't deserve your energy. It's knowing that sometimes silence is louder than shouting. That's power, not because you're weak, but because you're wise. Anyone can react. It takes a master to respond. It also takes strength to stay kind when someone's trying to pull you out of character. That's one of the hardest tests in life, keeping your goodness in a world that tries to harden you. There will be people who test your patience, who misunderstand your intentions, who hurt you without apology. But don't let their bitterness become your reflection. You've got to remember who you are even when the world forgets. Because every time you choose kindness over anger, compassion over revenge, you're not just keeping your character, you're proving your power. And it takes faith, deep faith, to keep your heart open when life gives you every reason to close it. The world will break you down if you let it. It'll make you cold, make you guarded, make you believe that caring is weakness. But the truth is, an open heart is one of the strongest things you can have. It means you've been hurt and still choose to love. It means you've been knocked down and still choose to rise. That's not weakness. That's resilience. Think about Nelson Mandela, 27 years locked in a cell, 27 years of stolen freedom. Yet not once did he let hate take over his mind. When he finally walked free, he didn't come out angry. He came out whole. He came out leading with forgiveness and vision. That's mastery. That's emotional discipline. He proved that no prison can hold a free mind and no pain can defeat a disciplined heart. So when the world tests you, and it will, remember this, power isn't found in how loud you roar. It's found in how calmly you rise. You go to the gym to build muscle. You study to sharpen your mind. But how often do you stop and think about training your emotions? See, most people spend years working on their bodies, chasing goals, building skills, but they forget about the one thing that truly shapes everything else: emotional strength. It's the quiet discipline behind every success, the anchor that keeps you steady when the waves get rough. Because life isn't a straight road. It's full of bumps, delays, and unexpected detours. And if your emotions aren't trained, every challenge will knock you off balance. Training your emotions isn't something that happens once. It's an everyday workout. It's the small choices that build emotional muscle. Every morning when you wake up, you've got a decision to make. You can choose gratitude or grumbling. You can start your day focusing on what's missing, or you can focus on what's working. That single choice sets the tone for everything that follows. Gratitude doesn't ignore your problems, it strengthens you to face them. It reminds you that even in struggle, there's something worth holding on to. Then there's conflict, because life will test your patience and people will test your peace. In those moments, emotional training means choosing understanding over ego. Ego wants to win the argument. Understanding wants to win the lesson. Ego reacts, understanding listens. When you train your emotions, you stop letting your pride dictate your decisions. You learn that peace is more valuable than being right. That's emotional strength. It's quiet, it's intentional, and it's powerful. And when life hits you with setbacks, when plans fall apart, when the dream takes longer than you thought it would, that's when your emotional endurance is tested. That's when patience over panic becomes your workout. Panic is easy, it's automatic. Patience, though, patience is built. It's learned through the process of falling down, standing back up, and trusting that every delay has a purpose. The ones who rise aren't always the fastest. They're the ones who keep their emotions steady when the race gets hard. There's real science behind this too. Research from Yale Center for Emotional Intelligence found that people who regularly practice emotional awareness, simple things like journaling, mindfulness, deep breathing, perform 23% better at work and report 30% stronger relationships. That's not luck, that's training. That's emotional muscle memory. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes to respond with clarity instead of chaos. Think of it like an athlete preparing for a championship. They don't wait for the big game to start training. They train every day. Even when no one's watching, they lift, they run, they repeat. And when the pressure hits, their body already knows what to do. That's how your emotions should work. You practice calm until it becomes your default. You train patience until it becomes your instinct. You repeat kindness until it becomes your habit. Emotional strength isn't built overnight. It's built in the small, quiet moments. When you breathe before you speak, when you listen instead of react, when you stay grounded instead of giving into chaos. Every time you make that choice, you're training your emotions. You're building resilience. You're becoming unshakable. When you learn to master your emotions, everything about the way you live begins to shift. You lead differently. You love differently. You live with a kind of quiet strength that people can feel without you ever saying a word. True leadership doesn't start in a boardroom or behind a title. It starts inside of you. It starts with emotional integrity, because when your emotions are in balance, your decisions are clear, your actions have purpose, your presence carries weight. People begin to trust you, not because you never feel anger, fear, or doubt, but because you don't let those emotions drive the wheel. See, anyone can lead when life is easy. Anyone can smile when things go their way. But leadership, the real kind, is tested in the fire. It's when your patience is pushed, when pressure builds, when disappointment knocks you off course. That's when your emotional integrity shows up. It's that moment when you could lash out, you could react, you could blame someone else, but instead, you take a breath and choose character over chaos. That's leadership. That's power that comes from within. Leading with emotional integrity doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you do feel, and you still choose the right thing. You still choose calm over conflict, truth over comfort, grace over ego. Emotional mastery isn't about being cold or detached. It's about being centered. It's the ability to stand in the middle of life's storm and say, I feel this, but I won't let it control me. That's what separates the strong from the fragile, the grounded from the easily swayed. It's not about perfection, it's about control. Controlled emotion is focused energy. Think about the people you respect most in life, the ones who seem unshakable. They're not unshakable because life never hits them. They're unshakable because they've learned how to bend without breaking. They've learned to feel deeply without falling apart. They don't suppress their emotions, they shape them into strength. When they speak, people listen, not because they're loud, but because there's truth behind their words. They've earned that trust by being consistent in the face of chaos. That's what emotional integrity looks like in motion. Leading with integrity also means owning your emotions instead of denying them. It's looking someone in the eye and saying, I'm upset, but I'll handle this with respect. It's admitting when you're wrong, apologizing when you need to, forgiving even when you don't feel like it. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. Because when you lead from your emotions, you create drama. But when you lead through your emotions, you create change. People will follow that kind of energy because it feels safe, it feels real. The world doesn't need more loud leaders, it needs more honest ones, more steady ones, people who can carry their emotions without being carried away by them. Because when you master your emotions, you're no longer ruled by the moment. You're guided by purpose. And that choice, that moment of calm clarity, that's what separates leaders from followers, winners from quitters, and peace from chaos. So I'll leave you with this: life will always throw things at you that you can't predict, can't plan for, can't always understand. You can't always control what happens to you. People will disappoint you. Plans will fall apart. Life will test you in ways you never saw coming. But what truly defines you, what separates the strong from the lost, is how you handle what happens inside of you. That's where the real battle is fought. That's where your power lies. You see, when anger shows up at your door, it wants control. It wants the keys to your peace, to your focus, to your purpose. Don't hand them over. Don't let anger drive your life. Anger burns hot but burns fast. It leaves nothing but ashes behind. When fear whispers in your ear, trying to tell you you're not enough, don't let it take the wheel. Fear is loud, but it's a liar. It'll talk you out of blessings you haven't even reached yet. And when doubt tries to sneak in, don't let it steer your destiny. Doubt is a thief that steals from the future while you're still standing in the present. You've got to guard your mind like it's sacred ground, because it is. Every great victory starts in the mind. Every downfall does too. When you learn to master your emotions, you stop reacting to the noise around you. You stop letting the world decide how you feel, how you move, how you think. You start choosing your response. You start walking in control. And once you master your emotions, you master your mind. Once you master your mind, you master your life. That's the formula. It's simple, but not easy, because it takes daily discipline to stay grounded in a world that's built to distract you. Life will always test your patience, test your peace, test your strength. There will be moments where you want to lash out, give up, or break down. But in those moments, stop. Take a breath. Remember who you are. Remember what you're capable of. Because every breath is a chance to reset, to reclaim your balance, to choose peace over panic. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is just breathe. Just think. Just wait. Peace isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's strength under control. So breathe, think, choose peace. Because real power isn't found in controlling the people or the circumstances around you. That's an illusion. Real power lives in your ability to stay centered no matter what's happening out there. It's in choosing calm when chaos calls your name. It's in walking away when pride tells you to fight. It's in choosing faith when fear tells you to fold. That's the kind of power that can't be shaken. That's the kind of strength that can't be taken. The world may try to move you, but when your peace lives inside you, nothing out there can break you.